Hi, this is Clark. I'm Dave, and you are planning to hike the North or South Olympic Coast in Olympic National Park, but you want some help translating these tide tables that the Park Service gave you. I'm here to help. In fact, I'm here to show you a better tide table than this one. Follow along. When the ranger contacts you with your permit information, he or she's going to start talking about all these tidal restrictions, and these are identified by circles on the national park map. Circles mean that it is passable at a certain tide. X's mean that it's never passable and you have to use a headland and overland trail. And there's multiple on this hike. So to give you an example, let's talk about the two areas that you need to be worried about south of the Ozette River. And when my wife Jennifer and I did this hike back in 2024, this obstacle was faced on the morning of day 3. There's 2 obstacles, and you'll see that it has a tidal restriction, which is found on this page. 0.7 of a mile down is 4 foot. I need the ocean to have a tide of 4 foot or less in order to make it past this point. And I plan on hiking it on the 25th of July. So this is a 24-hour period for the 25th of July from midnight to midnight. And my safe tide is 4 foot. So as we go to a Google search engine, we're going to type in NOAA tide tables destruction island. Destruction Island is the correct tide station for the North Olympic Coast. Recreation.gov recommends La Push, Lapush, for the South Olympic Coast. We can see here that it gives us 2 days. It gives us 2 days worth of information. I want to get very specific. I only want to see a day. So I set it for July 25th, and I want to see it plotted daily. And I like the printer view myself. So there's my printer view. And if you own a printer, please print this. It makes this job so much easier. I can see that I have my time axis here on the bottom. And then on my vertical axis, I have the height of the sea in feet, starting below 0 and then going to 0, 2.5 feet, 5 feet, 7.5 feet, 10 feet. So 2.5 foot increments on the vertical axis. We know that we need to find the tide that is below 4 feet. So I'm going to be focused somewhere in between 2.5 feet and 5 feet of sea level. We know that the halfway mark here would be roughly 3.75 feet. So I'm going to draw a line a little bit above the halfway mark of this box here between 2.5 and 5 feet. And that should give me a pretty darn good spot for 4 feet. So I'm just a little bit above the halfway mark here. And I'm going to draw a line. Below this point, it is safe for me to hike it. So I can see here that there'll be a low tide happening in the morning, and I'm simply going to draw a vertical line from where that 4 foot mark happens and see what time it is. So this mark here reflects 3 a.m. This mark here reflects 6 a.m. That looks to me about an hour later. So my window of opportunity starts at 4 a.m. and it closes right before noon. So let's say 11:30 a.m. So I need to cross that point between 4 a.m. and 11:30 a.m. on the morning of July 25th. The tides change every day, so you need to download your tide chart for the day. There is another opportunity to pass this mark, and it happens in the evening. And if I draw those two lines, I see that this is a narrower window, and it happens right before 6 p.m. So 5:45 p.m. to a little bit after 9 p.m., about 9:15 p.m. So these are my two windows of opportunity between here and here, and between here and here, to hike that section that requires a low tide. So if you don't own a printer, and I understand that a lot of people don't anymore these days, there's another way you can do this. So if we look here at the NOAA tide chart, I'm back at Destruction Island on the 25th. I'm just going to take a screenshot of this. So that is Command Shift number 3, and I am operating on a Mac. Now I'll open my screenshot, and with a drawing tool, I'm going to draw a box at roughly my 4-foot mark. So once again, 2.5, 5, somewhere in between. So that's the half, right about there. You can drag it over, extend it, and then I can drop it down. And I can get a pretty darn good idea where my window happens. Again, right around 4 a.m. and right before noon, 11:30.
Thanks for making it to the end of the video. If I taught you anything along the way, please give me a thumbs up. It really does help the channel. Last piece of advice, when you're hiking the north, you can expect a pace of about 1 mile an hour. When you're hiking the south, you can up that up to around 1.5 miles. You're gonna have lots of obstacles along the way. This is not your average hike, but you're gonna have a lot of things to brag about to your friends and family when you're showing them those awesome pictures. Speaking of awesome pictures, if you're interested in seeing the hike that my wife Jennifer and I did in July of 2025 on the South Olympic coast, I will post a link to that video right here. And I'll end it the way I always end it. They say that one day your life is going to flash in front of your eyes. And my plan is to make that mental slideshow as epic as possible. Build your slideshow, my friends.